Hi, I'm Shannon Cyr, and I am the relationship coach for men. Today, we are talking about emotional infidelity. Now, this is one we kind of hear a lot about these days. So it's an interesting topic to me because it's kind of like we've given it its own category. It used to be that when someone referred to cheating, they meant that someone had physically cheated. It was all about a sexual act. But now we have this kind of new type of cheating, right? The emotional affair. And with the, forthcoming of social media, we hear about this a whole lot more. And so, even just this week, I was working with two totally different people, and both are in a situation where there has been an affair. And my one client was explaining to me that, his wife had had an emotional affair with someone that she had been talking to online. And he said that it had been going on for a while, but it was just emotional. So it really wasn't that bad. And he truly felt like, because that was the case, that he could forgive her and just kind of move forward, right? And then my other client told me that his wife had also had an affair, and he had found out that week. And his description was that this was just purely a physical affair, and he really felt like that was better because she didn't care about the other person. And he said that, since no one was really emotionally invested in it, that this was a better situation and not as bad. And he felt like that could be more easily forgiven and that it could be okay. So these are both just really good examples of how we twist things around in our mind just to make the affair okay, to kind of explain it and make it go away so we can save space and leave room for the relationship to continue. Neither one of them is right or wrong here. You can absolutely move forward in a relationship after an affair of either type. But what you can't do is lie to yourself about what's really happening. So to make it a little more clear, someone once shared a definition of infidelity with me that I think is interesting and really kind of spot on. They said that infidelity is anything that you do in secret from your spouse. So now that's kind of a broad definition, right? And you're probably thinking of examples of things that maybe you don't tell your spouse, and that doesn't really count. You may say, well, I have friends that I talk to or that I spend time with, and that's perfectly fine, but if you're doing it in secret, that is when it becomes infidelity. That is how it becomes a betrayal of the relationship that you have. So here's an example. If we go back to my client that said that his wife is just having an emotional affair, right? So it turns out when he talked to her a little bit more about it, she told him that, it was nothing serious and that they just talked online. And then she said that they talked online and sometimes on the phone or via text. And then eventually that kind of turned into she had met him once or twice and they just sat and talked at a park nearby her office. Well, it turns out that they actually had met many times and it had been going on for the course of almost a year. So here's the thing. Two grown adults do not meet in secret over the course of a year because they're looking for another friend or because they're looking for a buddy, right? If they haven't slept together yet, it's moving in that direction. It just maybe hasn't occurred. So, what are the ways that we betray our spouse? Is it meeting someone for a drink after work? Sharing maybe intimate details about them to other people that they don't want other people to know? Or maintaining friendships outside of the relationship? What about gambling or watching porn or substance use? So there are many options here if we really use that broad definition that I mentioned earlier of infidelity. It's not the thing that is the infidelity. It's the secrecy of it that makes it a betrayal. So if we do any of those things in secret, that's how we betray the other person, right? If we're going and meeting someone for drinks all the time after work and we're not ever mentioning that, and then that is found out, that is the betrayal. It's not the act of going and having the drinks, it's that we didn't share that information and that we were hiding it. And so the same goes for those other examples, right? So when we talk about emotional infidelity, you know, this is really sharing your heart with someone else. And this is the line that's being crossed. You know, you're creating an intimate connection outside of the marriage without your partner knowing. And that is the betrayal. Just because there hasn't been a sexual component or that line has not been crossed, it's going to be crossed at some point. It just hasn't happened yet. You really have to tell yourself the truth about what's going on. If you're the one who is having an emotional affair, or if you're the one who has been cheated on, tell yourself the truth, because the emotional affair is a betrayal. Infidelity of any kind causes a lot of hurt and pain, right? So if you're ready to take the next step and get very clear about what's going on in your marriage and figure out if you can stay and make it better, or if your answer really is to move on, I invite you to schedule a complimentary exploratory session with me. Talk to you soon. All my best.